The next one is around your occupation. So they'll want to find out a bit more about your occupation, what you're doing. Are you onshore, offshore, if you're in the mining industry? What are those duties, hours? If you've got a bit of a unique role. So that's really important to also be mindful. There might be some questions around that. And then the other one is around your residency status. So, with the number of people moving to Australia each year, are really important that we understand if your visa is eligible for a policy or not. Here again, different insurers have got different views on these, so really important to look around if you are struggling in your application process. But for the vast majority of the temporary visas, the ones that are kind of 2 years plus or have pathways to, are going to be not a problem. However, here again, worthwhile investigating different insurers. And then the next question is, do we have to do a blood test every time? What's going to happen after we've gone ahead and answered those questions, right? So typically speaking, you're only going to need default medical conditions if you're going for really high sums insured. So, if you're younger than 45, typically speaking, you can get up to $2 million worth of cover without any default mandatory bloods or blood tests. So typically speaking, there's not many people that are taking out that level of cover, going, for the most part. But here again, that is where some of the mandatory requirements come in. But what we find for the most part is that after they've completed the application, if they do need to clarify something with your doctor, what they're going to do is the insurer is going to go ahead and write to your doctor at their cost and say, okay, could you please tell me a bit more about, this client's XYZ condition, right? They're then going to come back to the insurer and explain that a bit further, and then often the insurer will make a decision. There might also be a questionnaire. They may also need a repeat blood test. So let's say, for example, you are a diabetic and you haven't done a recent HbA1c. The insurer may say, look, we'd like another more recent copy of that. Would you be okay doing with HbA1c, also at their cost again? So for the vast majority of them, you're not going to need to go and see your doctor. It'll be kind of handled in the background if there are any requirements. But if there are any blood tests requested, typically speaking, they're all paid for by the insurer, and they'll often use a mobile nurse to really help make it as convenient as possible.